All right, so today I would like to kind of riff on the reactions people have when presented information that is contrary to their beliefs. Um, I regularly at my work try to bring up topics which I have researched like in depth, and just the amount of emotions wrapped up in the people that are listening. So, for instance, I've got this coworker, we'll call her Victoria, and when I bring something up, she gets very mad. She gets all flustery. I don't want to talk about this anymore. And it's really strange. It's like she knows that I have good points, but if she acknowledges those points, she will have to discard a large section of her belief system. And something I think that's really important to acknowledge is the fact that people are their belief systems, okay? That which you believe, you become. It's like you are what you eat. And so when somebody believes that, for instance, we've gone to the moon, that the earth is a globe, that vaccines work, that's part of them. It would be like taking away one of their fingers if you convince them that it's not true. And at what point does that become a disservice? Some people don't want to be woken up, and I think that the movie They Live, We Sleep is a really good, oh man, the word just left me, a really good representation of that. The main character, I forget his name, I don't think he has a name in it, he tries so hard to get his friend to put on these glasses so that he can see the reality behind the facade. And his friend just will not. He won't go along with it. And if you haven't seen this movie, I'm going to spoil the shit out of it right now, but I still suggest you go watch it. And so they embark on what I think might be the longest and most drawn out fight scene in all of Hollywood history, and it's just fantastic. Main character is just beating the crap out of this guy, trying to get the glasses on him, and in turn getting the crap beat out of him. And so that brings up 2 points. First of all, how hard we try to force others to see the truth. And if you force somebody to see the truth, I don't think it ends much like it happens in the movie with the guy accepting the truth. I think it ends with resentment towards you and towards the idea you've presented. And so that never works. That never works. All it does is close the person off to it. But it also goes to show just how much we will risk our own well-being to present those truths as we see them. And I know for myself and many others that I've spoken with, we are very outspoken about what is true. Let's say somebody brings up a specific WAR in you name it, and they've drank the Kool-Aid. Okay, they believe exactly as the mainstream CNN, Fox News say. Well, if you present an alternative idea, you might just lose a friend. And I think that is really telling. So they have been so mind controlled that they would rather give up a friend than acknowledge they might be wrong. That's an emotional tie. It's, I would go so far as to say it's a spiritual tie. And it's unfortunate because these people, a lot of times, are very good people, most times, but they've been so misled. And you got to think, when does it start? When does the manipulation start? It starts when you're at an age when you essentially worship adults. So anything an adult says, be it your teacher, your parents, blah, 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 you believe them because you haven't been around, the adults have been around, and so it just becomes what it is. They present it as fact, and the deception is at least once removed from the presenter. So the teacher, she's not lying. She's telling the truth as she understands it, but it's incorrect. And so children can pick up, people can pick up when they're being lied to. Usually, we'll get into why they can't anymore in just a second. But when you have somebody who is also brainwashed present that brainwashing information, it's kind of like a cult. That's how cults work. That's how Epstein worked. I don't want to say that Ghislaine Maxwell is a victim because she's clearly not. But a lot of the girls that Epstein basically captured started doing work to get new girls. And I'm not so sure that they knew they were doing a bad thing. It could easily be presented as, these girls are in a really tough situation. I'm going to give them everything that they've ever asked for. And somebody who's also in a tough situation or has been and can empathize with that can be easily manipulated into believing that in the altruism of their motives. And Scientology is much the same. Catholicism, all of these establishments require not only the liar, but believers and acolytes below the liar to present that information. If Scientology was presented directly by Miscavige, I forget his first name. Dude, he just comes across as a slug, and I don't think a lot of people would believe him. But because it comes from ordinary people that you can identify with, it's a lot easier to swallow the bullshit. The other thing is that people want to identify with a group. They want to belong. I'm not sure why. Actually, I am sure why. It's really good for self-preservation. If you are a lone wolf, so to speak, you can be taken out by predators. Whereas those who have a community have the protection of that community. But at what cost? Will you sell your intellectual honesty and sovereignty to a group? To groupthink? I've noticed just how fragile people's worldviews have become, where if you challenge it at all, they will react in oftentimes violent manners, which goes back to they live. And I think, I'm speculating here, but I think that's because the programming is cracking. It's fractured. Television has been a mind control device the entire time. You can look up old network sign-offs when they play the national anthem and they flash words. Oh, there goes a cop speeding down the road. No way, cops breaking the law. Oh, imagine that. Anyway, so these sign-offs would show real quick one-frame flashes of words like trust the government, obey, just like they live. I mean, that movie spelled it out so clearly, and I think it is more true than most people would give it credit for. I think a lot of people consider it to be allegory and kind of a metaphor for the world we live in, and others that are just horribly deceived just assume it's a cheesy action flick, a sci-fi movie. But I really do think it is more accurate than most give it credit credit for. For instance, this, and I'm not even sure if I believe this story yet, but I haven't seen evidence of it. All I've heard is testimony, but this demon face syndrome, that is exactly what happens when the protagonist in They Live puts on those glasses. He can see the reality behind the face that demons wear. And oh man, looks like something happened at IHOP. Looks like somebody might have gotten shot or something. That's terrible. So he ends up seeing these demons, and there's this awesome line where he puts on the glasses, and this woman is shopping. She's an older lady, and he puts on the glasses, and he just sees this demon face. And I forget his exact words, but he's like, "You are one ugly biatch," or something to that effect. And then she speaks into basically an Apple Watch, and she says, "We've got one that can see." And that is exactly how they see people like us. You can see, and you are a threat to the status quo. And that's why they try so hard to mock you. Once the general public sees you as an object of mockery and of derision, they will no longer take seriously anything you have to say. You could, after they know that you are a flat earther and they have learned to mock flat earth, you could say the sky is blue, and they'd explain with science exactly how you're wrong, because it has been programmed into them like that. Edward Bernays is the guy that's pretty much solely responsible for modern day brainwashing. He is the nephew of Sigmund Freud, and he was a propagandist. He was in charge of all of the original psychological operations. Not in charge necessarily, but he wrote them. He knew exactly how the mind worked and how to hack it. And if you ever wonder why baby boomers are just so incredibly addicted to authority, that's why. They had been studying how to manipulate people and make them essentially children of the state for 40 years prior to when my parents were born. At least 40 years. What, like 60 years. And dude, that's super hard to break through. I made another video about how my parents, after seeing through the deception that was the Rona and the Vaskine, they're still all pro-Trump now. I say all, I meant they're both pro-Trump. They're both all like in favor of Trump. And when I try and bring it up with my mom, you know, I literally said to her the other day with compassion, and usually I get kind of uppity about it, but I tried really hard to maintain a level head. I said, "Mom, like, I love you, but you know, he tried to kill you. He tried to have you killed." And she's like, "Oh, well, he just didn't know. He wasn't given all the information." And okay, let's unpack that real quick. He's the president of the United States and he's not given all the information? I mean, then why are you voting for him? What are you voting for exactly? If he can just be misled into trying to kill you, why vote? Clearly, he doesn't hold an ounce of power. But, so anyway, she says, "Well, he just didn't know." Okay, well, once he found out and people started dropping like flies and he was confronted by it, he doubled down. He still calls himself the father of the vaccine. It's really sad. It's really sad to watch how degraded people's minds have become. And you know what? It goes even back to the low-fat diet. All this, don't eat fat, have sugar in your coffee, don't eat fat, blah, blah, blah. All of that is bullshit. Cholesterol is going to kill you. Dude, your brain is made of cholesterol and fat. And without those two things in your diet, you don't have the ability to think very well. I can't stress enough just how well constructed and all-encompassing this psychological operation has become. You can pull one thread out, and that thread is attached to another thread. So it's layers deep. And it's become such an integral part of your family, my family's lives, your family's lives, that if you strip it away from them, I don't think it would be healthy for them. I think it would probably break them. So I got to go into work. 16 minutes. Hope you guys stand something to gain from this. I know I just kind of rambled, but it seems y'all like that. So I hope you have a wonderful day. Love your children, love your parents, and love yourself. Because if you don't love yourself, you can't do the first two.